Today's video is on product review. As a tech YouTube channel, my own is to bring to you some tech stuffs that I feel you need, all right, as someone that visits this channel and educate you as well. And I'm going to review a book that was written by Mellissa on internet and internet safety, including social media. So I want to tell you some things you're going to gain from this book and why you need it, or somebody that wants to gain more experience about internet, all right, social media and cyber security. You need this book. I have read this book and I understood everything about it, and it's nice, and that's why I'm talking about it. So let's get to Amazon for you to see some things about this book, and from there I will explain some things about it as well. Okay, so this is the book, The Internet for Beginners and Seniors. Learn how the internet works, web browser, social media, email, and cybersecurity tips with illustrations. Okay, this book is available in four different formats. The first one is the Kindle format, all right? Amazon Kindle format. So if you're a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, you can read this book for free with your subscription, all right? That's why you have $0.00 here. Or if you're not, you can buy the ebook copy for $6.99. All right, we have the audiobook formats, all right, for people that like listening to audiobooks, all right, you can purchase this as well. I'll have the links to all the marketplaces of this book in the description of this book, all right, in the description of this video, so you can check the description if at the end you're interested in buying this book, which I know you should be because it will educate you. Then we have the hardcover format, which sells at $24.99. We have the paper format, which sells at $14.99. All right, let's get to the slides I prepared in the presentation, PowerPoint presentation, to see some points highlighted on this particular book. But before then, look at the A plus content about this book. Very nice and excellent, which highlights the points. All right, some things you're going to get in this book. All right. We have some other books published by the same author, which you can purchase after you're done buying this one as well, to grow in knowledge of technology. All right. So the ebook format is about 174 pages, but the paper format is less than this number of pages. All right. So the paper format, let's see how many pages it is formatted in 7 by 10 inches. Yeah, 7 by 10 inches, and is 137 pages of powerful information. All right. So let's now get to the slides. Okay, so this is the first slide here. It says the internet for beginners and seniors. Learn how the internet works, web browsers, social media, email, and cybersecurity tips with illustration, which means this targets mainly beginners on the internet and seniors who do not have core knowledge of how the internet works, because most times these seniors fall prey to scammers. So this book is going to educate them on how to avoid these guys, how to dictate if a scammer is talking to you, and what you can display online and what you cannot display to everybody, because they are all there. Cyber criminals looking for who to scam. All right, so this is the first slide. Okay, the second slide here is on chapter 1, Introduction to the Internet. So what you're going to find out in this chapter 1 is definition of the internet, how the internet works. All right, this is very key. If I ask you that is listening to this video how the internet works, can you explain? Probably no. So you are going to learn how the internet works from this book, all right, including its origin. Okay, so components of the internet. What are the components of the internet? These and many more are what you're going to discover from chapter 1. All right, chapter 2 is on the evolution of the internet. How did the internet evolve? All right, so that's why I have the evolution of the internet, how the internet was born, all right, how the internet originated, all right, www, how the World Wide Web started. You have to learn that from this chapter 2, And we have significant things on the internet. That's what you're still going to learn from here. And four, okay, sorry. And the number four from this chapter two is giving internet access to computers. There are some seniors and beginners on the internet that doesn't know how to give internet access to your computer, maybe from Wi-Fi or maybe a cellular data. All these things are discussed in this chapter two. So let's get to chapter three. In chapter three, the discussion is on web browsers and search engines. All right. What is a web browser? All right. If you're asked what is a web browser, do you know that? That's one of the things discussed in this chapter 3. Then the next point is examples of web browsers. Okay. When you know about these examples of web browsers for beginners and seniors, you can make your choice on the web browser you want to be using on your computer or on your smartphone. Search engines. What are search engines? How do search engines rank websites or web pages? These and many more are going to be discussed and what you will learn from this book. You can buy it for a senior to know more about the internet, all right? Then, installation of search engines on computers. How can this be done? It is covered in chapter 3. Using search engines on web different browsers. Okay, it's still covered in the chapter 3. Okay, let's get to chapter 4. In chapter 4 is about how to use web browser. So some people use Chrome and use Edge, but they just know the basic task they can complete from these browsers. This chapter 4 goes deeper in helping you, explore more with web browsers. You say, okay, the first pointer is Google Chrome Explain. What is Google Chrome? All right, what is Google Chrome? That's what you learn. Installation of Chrome on a PC. How can Google Chrome web browser be installed in a PC? That's covered. Installation of Chrome on smartphones also covered. Searching things online. How to make effective use of search engines. All right. That is another point discussed here. Then other basic tasks you can complete on web browsers and search engines. Okay. They are not detailed out because of space here. So when you get into the book, you learn more about that. Then chapter 5 is learn more on how to use Google Chrome. Okay. So Google Chrome extends from chapter 4 to chapter 5. All right. The first point here is changing download location. If maybe when you're downloading pictures and documents, PDFs, and they're saved in the downloads folder of your PC automatically, how can you change that? All right, this is a basic information. This is an additional knowledge. So that is covered in this chapter 5. Opening links on new tabs, okay, covered as well. Clearing cookies and the importance. Sometimes people don't know what cookies are and why it is important to clear them sometimes. All right, in some occasions. This and more is covered in this chapter 5. Then another point here is translating web page to another language. Maybe you're reading a web page, maybe an article published online, and you want that to be translated to another language, maybe from English to Dutch or from English to another language, Spanish language, and the rest. This is covered on in this chapter. All right. Then zooming web pages, saving web pages, and the rest. You got to get them from this chapter 5. Then chapter 6 is on Microsoft Edge browser. This is where you will explore, you will learn a lot about web browsers. So if you want to know more about web browsers, it is covered. Edge web browser, it is covered in this chapter 6. You don't need to go and buy extra book on web browsers or Microsoft Edge web browser. It is covered in chapter 6. Okay, these are the points there. Introduction to web browser, the installation on a PC, visiting websites and making quick searches, all right, using Microsoft Edge web browser. We have tabs. What are tabs in a web browser? Bookmarking and finding text on page in Edge browser. Can you do that? Or is a senior you have beside you, can the senior do that? Or a beginner on the internet, can he or she do that? You will learn that or he will learn that from here. Then printing a web page, pinning sites on start, all right, start page of a web browser or start page of your PC. This is covered in this chapter 6. All right, let's proceed to chapter 7. Then in chapter 7, you are going to learn about completing more tasks on Edge. So, how to use Edge browser is covered in chapter 6 and chapter 7. All right. So here, these are the points covered. Switching to dark mode. Do you know how to change Edge to dark mode from light mode or system mode? Then browser history and recently downloaded files. Saving pictures, PDF, and browser extension. So some people don't understand what browser's extension can do for you. And that is what is covered, it's part of what is covered in chapter 7. So you will learn about that. Or a senior, you help a senior, a beginner on internet, learn about it. Then we have removing extension, browser data, and more. So get that from chapter 7. Then chapter 8 is email and effective communication. I like this chapter 8 because it walks you through on how to create Gmail accounts, even Outlook accounts, and the advantage how to send email from one to another. This is good chapter for people that want to learn about email and email services. Okay, these are the points. What is email and use? Why do we use email? What's the advantage? All right, so learn that from this chapter 8. Email service platforms. Why some email service companies issue free addresses. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it that Google gives free Gmail address or Microsoft gives free Outlook email address? This is covered here. What's their aim? Why are they doing that? All right, so then fourth point is Gmail and account creation. How to create a Gmail account, sending emails, replying, and phishing emails. This is very important. This number, this point here, phishing emails. What are phishing emails? How do you know that a particular email is phishing emails? All right, please know about that from chapter 8. And chapter 9, which is the last chapter of this book, is on social media and internet safety. Though we use internet to solve a lot of problems, but you have to stay safe. All right. If you don't stay safe, you'll be scammed and you will lose money. Even identity theft applies on the internet. So please know about how to stay safe on the internet from this chapter 9. Okay, these are the points. Popular social media platforms, how to create accounts on media, all right? Connecting with friends and family on Facebook, X, which is former, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. These are covered in this chapter 9. Then we have fourth point here, the fourth point, scams, identity theft, and cybersecurity awareness. You need to know about this. I'm repeating it again, even every senior needs to know about this. Cybersecurity awareness, internet safety. So if you can't get this book for yourself, you can get it for a senior or somebody who is new to the internet to avoid loss of money or identity theft of any form. I believe you find this content helpful. Please, if it does help, consider subscribing to this channel. Here we cover a lot of technology, YouTube education, and self-publishing, all under tech. So if you want to learn more like this, consider subscribing to this channel. Hit the like button, the one that points up like this, and leave a comment in the comment section so that YouTube will push this video to more people. All right, you can watch this video here on another product review on a particular book on Microsoft 365, and you will like it actually because I'm part of the authors that wrote this particular book. Thank you and see you some other time. Stay blessed.